If this moment found you, it's no accident. You weren't drawn here by chance, but by a subtle pull, a vibration that crossed an unseen threshold in your soul. This isn't just a story. It's a calling, a frequency encoded in the ancient teachings of Thoth, the scribe of the gods, whose wisdom echoes through the ages. In the shadowed halls of Egypt's mystery schools, initiates once stood where you stand now, on the edge of something vast, something that stirs the heart before the mind can name it. They called it the Hermetic Codex. 11 frequencies, not mere words, but living vibrations that collapse the old and awaken what lies dormant within. If you feel a restlessness, a sense that life is pushing you toward something you can't yet grasp, then the first code is already stirring. This is the divine restlessness, and it's trying to break through. Picture yourself in an ancient temple, its stone walls cool under torchlight, the air thick with the scent of myrrh. Thousands of years ago, young initiates stood trembling, feeling the same unease you might feel now. The coffee tastes the same, the path to work is the same, the voices around you repeat the same tired scripts, but something inside you no longer fits. It's as if life has become a play, and you're reading lines from a role you didn't choose. This moment is subtle, not a thunderclap but a whisper, a faint itch in your soul that won't let you settle. Thoth, the master of hidden knowledge, taught that true awakening never begins with grand revelations. It starts with this, a discomfort like sand in your shoes, a quiet rebellion against the ordinary that refuses to be ignored. This restlessness is no mistake. In the temples of Memphis and Hermopolis, priests understood it as the first touch of the divine, a signal that the soul is ready to shed its illusions. The body feels it first, a tightness in your chest, a fatigue with no cause, a refusal to keep performing the same routines. Your mind scrambles for reasons, trying to rationalize the unease, but the body knows. It senses the shift, the vibration of something new trying to emerge. The Egyptians believed the body was a vessel for the Ka, the spiritual essence, and when the Ka stirred, it sent ripples through the flesh. This is the alarm, the universe's whisper. Wake up. There's more than what you've been living. Yet most drown this call in distraction, endless work, fleeting pleasures, or the numbing scroll of screens. In ancient times, initiates were taught to resist this urge. They sat in silent chambers, facing the discomfort, letting it speak. Thoth's teachings, inscribed in emerald tablets, warned that ignoring the restlessness only deepens the soul's exile. The divine restlessness isn't pain or fear, it's a sacred boredom, a longing for something you can't yet name. It's the moment you realize the life you've built is too small for the truth trying to break through. The priests of Thoth called this the first touch of inner time, when you sense a hidden plot unfolding, a destiny that's been waiting for you to notice. This code is universal, yet deeply personal. In the 4th century BCE, a young scribe in Thebes felt this same unease, pacing the Nile's banks, unable to sleep. His name is lost to history, but his story mirrors yours. A life that once felt certain now felt like a cage. He sought the priests, who guided him to listen, not to flee. They taught him that the restlessness was his soul's map, pointing to a path only he could walk. Like him, you might feel this now, an emptiness that isn't sadness, a noise that isn't pain. It's the clearest sign your soul is waking. To honor it, you must pause, not run. You must feel, not explain. The ancients knew this step was sacred, for it marks the beginning of the search, not to escape, but to discover. This discomfort is your ally, not your enemy. It's the crack in the shell, the breaking of the illusion that life is only what you see. In the temples, initiates were told to embrace this phase, to sit with the unknown, for it's here that the other codes begin to pulse. But beware, the divine restlessness offers no quick answers. It doesn't come to comfort you, it comes to unsettle you, to prepare you for what's next. If you're feeling it now, congratulations, the first code is alive in you. The journey has begun, and there's no going back to sleep. The restlessness has taken root. It's not loud, not yet, but it's there, a quiet hum beneath your skin, a sensation that something is shifting even if you can't name it. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where the air was thick with the scent of burning resin and the walls whispered with hieroglyphs, initiates stood at this same crossroads. They felt what you feel now. A life that once seemed solid now feels like a shadow, a script you've outgrown. This is the divine restlessness, the first code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, pulsing stronger now, urging you to listen. It's not a thought you can dismiss or a feeling you can bury. It's alive, and it's speaking through your body, through the tightening in your chest, the heaviness in your limbs, the strange fatigue that creeps in without reason. This is your soul stirring, and it's time to pay attention. In the mystery schools of Hermopolis, where Thoth was revered as the scribe of divine wisdom, priests taught that the body was the first oracle. Long before the mind could grasp the call to awaken, the body knew. A racing pulse, a sudden shiver, a knot in the stomach. These were not mere symptoms but sacred signals, messages from the Ka, the spiritual essence that binds you to the eternal. The Egyptians believed the Ka was a spark of the divine, a fragment of the cosmos living within you. When it stirred, it sent ripples through the flesh, like a stone dropped into a still pool. You might feel it now, a moment when the world seems too small, when the routines that once comforted you now chafe like ill-fitting clothes. This is no accident. It's the universe knocking, and your body is the door. Imagine an initiate, a young woman in the 3rd century BCE, standing before the temple of Ammonius in Karnak. Her name was Merit, a weaver's daughter chosen for her keen intuition. For weeks, she'd felt this same restlessness, a heaviness in her heart, a sense that her village, her loom, her daily prayers were no longer enough. She confided in the priests, who led her to a darkened chamber lit only by a single flame. Feel it, they told her. Do not run. The discomfort is your guide. Merit's story echoes across time, for she, like you, was learning to read the language of her soul. The restlessness wasn't a flaw, it was a map, pointing her toward a truth she hadn't yet seen. This phase is subtle, almost cruel in its quietness. It doesn't arrive with answers or a clear path. Instead, it brings questions, doubts, a vague sense that something is wrong, even when life looks fine on the surface. Thoth's teachings, preserved in fragments of the Corpus Hermeticum, describe this as the first veil of awakening, a moment when the illusion of comfort begins to fray. The priests warned that most would resist this stage, clinging to the familiar, drowning the inner noise with distractions. In ancient Egypt, initiates were trained to resist this urge. They fasted, sat in silence, or chanted low, resonant tones to amplify the body's signals. These practices weren't about escape. They were about presence, about facing the discomfort head-on until it revealed its purpose. Your body is doing the same now. That tightness in your chest? It's not just stress. That exhaustion that lingers despite sleep? It's not mere fatigue. These are the Ka's whispers, the first code vibrating through you, urging you to notice. In the temples, priests taught that the body was a microcosm of the universe, each sensation a star in the constellation of your soul. A clenched jaw might signal unspoken truths. A racing heart might herald a courage waiting to be born. The mind, trained to control, will try to explain these away, to label them as anxiety or overthinking. But the body doesn't lie. It's the first to sense the shift, the first to know that the life you've been living is no longer enough. This restlessness is a sacred invitation, but it's not gentle. It's the sand in your soul's shoe, the itch that demands you move. In ancient Egypt, initiates were told to honor it as a divine summons, a call to step beyond the first layer of illusion, the illusion that life is only what you see, touch, and know. Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, taught that this discomfort was the spark of inner time, the moment when the eternal begins to break through the mundane. You might feel it as a longing, a pull toward something you can't yet name. It's not sadness, not fear, but a kind of spiritual hunger, a yearning for a truth that's always been within you, waiting to be uncovered. The danger lies in ignoring it. In Merit's time, those who silenced the restlessness with work, wine, or ritual without meaning found themselves trapped in cycles of repetition. The priests warned that to deny the Ka's call was to court stagnation, to let the soul's spark dim. Today, we drown it in screens, schedules, or fleeting pleasures, but the restlessness persists, growing louder until it can't be ignored. Thoth's wisdom reminds us, this is not a crisis but a beginning. It's the universe saying, you're ready. Ready to leave the old patterns, ready to search for what's true, ready to step into a story larger than the one you've been told. If you're feeling this now, let it move you. Don't rush to explain it. Don't try to fix it. Just listen. In the temples, initiates were taught to sit with the restlessness, to breathe into it, to let it speak. Merit, the weaver's daughter, learned this in her silent chamber, feeling the weight of her unease until it transformed into clarity. You too are at this threshold. The divine restlessness is not your enemy. It's your guide, the first step toward awakening. Embrace it, and the next code will begin to pulse, revealing a language you didn't know you could hear. As the divine restlessness settles in, stirring your soul like a distant thunder, the world around you begins to shift in ways you can't quite explain. Words that once passed unnoticed now land with a weight, echoing in your chest like ancient chants in a forgotten temple. A simple phrase, "Stay in peace," lingers, vibrating through you. An old song brings tears without warning, stirring emotions you didn't know were there. This is no coincidence. It's the second code awakening, the invisible language, a frequency that speaks not to the mind, but to the depths of your being. In the sacred halls of ancient Egypt, where Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing, was honored with offerings of papyrus and ink, initiates learned that sound was more than noise, it was a bridge to the divine. Thoth, known as the master of vibrating language, didn't share his wisdom through mere words. His teachings, etched into the walls of temples like Edfu and Dendera, revealed that sound carried intention, a vibrational signature that pierced the veils of reality. The ancients understood this as Heka, the magical force of creation, where every utterance was a spell woven into the fabric of existence. In the initiation rites, priests didn't begin with speeches. They chanted pure sounds, drawn-out vowels that resonated through the body. These frequencies activated hidden centers, the chakras, though the Egyptians spoke of them as the sekam, the life force flowing through meridians like the Nile through the desert. Each vowel stirred something specific, an I to open the heart, an I to awaken intuition, sounds absorbed not by ears, but by the energy field surrounding you. You feel it now, perhaps, a shiver down your spine, a heaviness in your eyelids, an urge to release pent-up emotion without cause. This is your field responding, tuning to a new wavelength where truth needs no logic, it simply pulses. In the 12th dynasty, a scribe named Amenhotep recorded in his tomb how a single whispered incantation during a ritual changed his life, unlocking memories of past existences and aligning him with the gods. Such stories weren't myths, they were testimonies to the power of resonance. Thoth's words were coded vibrationally, meant for those whose inner frequency matched. That's why scholars could study his texts for lifetimes without grasping their essence. Understanding came not from intellect, but from feeling, from the heart's subtle perception. This code manifests in everyday moments. A quote that repeats in your mind, a conversation where words seem charged with hidden meaning, or a dream where phrases echo like prophecies. None of it is random. In Egyptian culture, scribes and priests trained to notice these signs, viewing them as messages from the Netjeru, the divine beings. Your own voice might change too, slower, more deliberate, as if you're speaking not just with your mouth, but with your entire being. Words you once used freely now feel out of place, replaced by a quiet intention that carries weight. This is the shift, from casual speech to vibrational coding, where what you say shapes your reality. The crucial secret, rarely whispered even in the temples, is that your words about yourself forge your path. Call yourself unworthy, and your field contracts, mirroring that vibration in the world around you. But speak affirmations with genuine presence, even if they feel unfamiliar at first, and the pattern begins to rewrite. This is sound alchemy, a practice Thoth imparted to his most devoted followers, turning base emotions into spiritual gold. In the pyramid texts, spells were recited to guide the soul through the afterlife, their power lying not in the letters, but in the intention behind them. An "I love you" without heart falls flat. but a single word spoken from truth can heal wounds unseen. As this code activates, pay attention not just to what you hear, but how it lands in your body. The right words act like magnets, drawing in synchronicities, books opening to the perfect page, strangers voicing your inner thoughts. In ancient Egypt, oracles used this resonance to divine the future, chanting until the gods will vibrate it through them. You, too, are entering this realm, where language transcends the visible, communicating with the subtle consciousness that Thoth called the Ak, the luminous spirit. It's alive, this frequency, pulsing through you, reminding you that words aren't tools, they're keys to realms beyond. If you felt this shift, know that your vibration has changed. Thoth's legacy, preserved in the Hermetic traditions that influenced philosophers from Pythagoras to the Renaissance mystics, teaches that this is the gateway. The invisible language doesn't explain, it awakens. It reveals layers of yourself long buried under the noise of daily life. And as you listen, something deeper stirs, a call to what lies beyond sound, to the silence where true creation begins. The codes are aligning, and the journey deepens. The invisible language has awakened, its subtle frequencies now weaving through your awareness like threads of light in a darkened temple. Words that once skimmed the surface now pierce deeper, carrying an invisible weight that reshapes your inner world. This is the essence of the second code, where sound becomes more than communication, it becomes creation. Thoth, the eternal scribe whose teachings in the Corpus Hermeticum echo the Greek logos, the divine word that birthed the cosmos, revealed that every utterance holds power. In the ancient world, this wasn't poetry, it was a profound truth. Priests in the temples of Heliopolis invoked Heka through carefully chosen syllables, believing that sound, when aligned with intention, could bend reality itself, healing the sick or summoning the Nile's flood. Activating this language isn't about logic or eloquence. It's energetic, a direct line to the subtle planes where vibration rules. Thoth's wisdom emphasized that sound carries a signature, a frequency that touches your aura before rippling outward. In the initiation chambers, adepts chanted not for show, but to attune their fields, each vowel a key unlocking chakras or energy centers the Egyptians called the Sahu, the spiritual body. You might sense this shift in your own life, a phrase repeated in a book or overheard in a crowd that sends a chill through you, as if it's unlocking a door you didn't know was there. This resonance is Thoth's gift, coded into his teachings so only those vibrating at the right level could truly receive them. Scholars pored over scrolls, dissecting symbols, but missed the pulse, the living vibration that demands to be felt, not just read. Now, as your field tunes higher, ordinary words transform. They echo, they magnetize, appearing in dreams, conversations, or fleeting thoughts that feel orchestrated. In ancient Egypt, orators like the high priests of Ptah used this power during festivals, their voices booming across the crowds, not just informing but aligning the collective energy, fostering unity or invoking protection from the gods. Your voice, too, evolves under this code, slower, more intentional as old habits of speech fall away. You pause before responding, sensing the weight of your words. This is the dawn of vibrational intention, where speaking becomes an act of alchemy, transmuting thought into form. Here's the hidden truth Thoth imparted to his initiates. The words you speak about yourself are spells cast upon your reality. Declare yourself a failure, and your field warps to match, drawing in cycles of repetition. But choose affirmations with presence. I am whole, even if it feels distant at first, and the vibration shifts, reprogramming the subtle layers. This isn't wishful thinking, it's sound alchemy, rooted in the Hermetic principle that the microcosm mirrors the macrocosm. In the Corpus Hermeticum, the Logos is described as the creative force of the divine mind, shaping worlds through vibration. Egyptian priests practiced this daily, whispering decrees at dawn to align with the sun god Ra, their words infusing the day with purpose. Emotional echoes amplify this power. Recall a time when a loved one's encouragement lifted you, not because of the words alone, but the sincerity behind them. It vibrated truth, reshaping your doubt into strength. Conversely, harsh self-talk, born from fear, prolongs shadows. Thoth taught that sound emerges from your internal state. Anger feeds anger, love dissolves barriers. In the temples, initiates spent years in silence before chanting, honoring sound as sacred. Today, we've forgotten this, filling voids with impulsive talk, but the universe remembers. It listens to every vibration, even unspoken thoughts, which are subtler sounds shaping your path. This code invites you to reclaim that power. Observe your speech. What patterns reveal your stuck energy? Shift them consciously. Plant words like seeds with intention. In ancient rites, priests used sound to open portals, heal rifts, or remember lost knowledge. You too can wield this. Speak from alignment, and reality responds. Synchronicities unfold, clarity sharpens as your words become decrees. Thoth's legacy reminds us, sound isn't neutral, it's the architect of your world, either building prisons or unlocking freedoms. As this frequency deepens, a new awareness dawns, what lies beyond sound, in the fertile silence where creation truly begins. The codes are building, pulling you toward the void that births the new. The words you speak have begun to shift, their vibrations rippling through your reality, but now a new sensation emerges. A stillness, a pause that feels both unsettling and alive. This is the third code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, the creative void, a sacred space where transformation takes root. It's not the emptiness of loss or despair, but a pregnant silence, a womb of potential that the ancients revered. In the temples of ancient Egypt, where starlight filtered through stone lattice and the scent of lotus lingered, initiates were led into darkened chambers to confront this void. Here, in the absence of distraction, they faced the truth of their being. Thoth, the ibis-headed scribe, taught that nothing new can manifest without first clearing space, just as the Nile must recede before its flood brings life anew. This void is not what your mind fears. It's not a punishment, nor a collapse into nothingness. It's the beginning, the primal state the Egyptians called Nun, the chaotic, formless waters from which all creation sprang. In the cosmogony of Heliopolis, Nun was the source, the infinite potential before the gods shaped the world. Thoth's teachings, whispered in the Corpus Hermeticum, echo this. Before the word, there must be silence. Before creation, a pause. You may feel it now, a moment when life seems to stall, when projects falter, relationships drift, or time itself slows to a crawl. The mind resists, craving noise, answers, control, but the spirit knows better. This is the universe making room, whispering, "Be still." Something greater is emerging. Imagine an initiate in the 18th dynasty, a young priest named Cady, standing at the threshold of the Temple of Thoth in Hermopolis. For weeks, his life had unraveled. His duties felt hollow, his prayers unanswered. Guided by his elders, he entered a chamber carved deep into the earth, where silence was so profound it seemed to hum. There, Cady faced the void, not as absence, but as presence, a mirror reflecting his fears, his forgotten dreams. This was no metaphor, it was a ritual practice, a deliberate surrender to the unknown. The priests taught that the creative void was the soul's crucible, where old identities dissolve to make way for the eternal. This code is challenging because it demands you let go of the need to understand or fill the silence. The mind, trained to chatter, rebels against this emptiness, conjuring worries or distractions to drown it out. But in ancient Egypt, initiates were trained to honor the void as sacred. They sat in meditative stillness, sometimes for days, listening to the subtle rhythms of their breath, the pulse of their ka, the spiritual essence, stirring within. Thoth's wisdom, preserved in texts like the Book of the Dead, framed this as a passage, a symbolic death that clears the field for rebirth. You might feel it as a heaviness, a sense of being unmoored, as if the ground beneath you has shifted. It's not a crisis, but a realignment, a sign that your frequency is rising. The emotional weight of this void can be profound. In Cady's time, initiates were told to see it as a dark mirror, reflecting what they hadn't yet faced, old wounds, buried desires, truths they'd ignored. This isn't punishment, it's liberation. The void strips away what no longer serves, making space for what's authentic. You may notice it in small ways. A job that no longer excites you, a conversation that feels forced, a sudden urge to be alone. These are not failures but signals, the universe carving out room for a new vibration. Thoth taught that the creative void is the prerequisite for all genuine creation, a truth echoed across cultures. From the Hindu concept of shunya, the zero point of potential, to the Greek chaos before the cosmos. To embrace this code, you must have courage. In the temples, initiates were guided to sit in the silence, not to run from it. They breathed deeply, letting the discomfort speak, letting the stillness reveal its secrets. You can do the same. Feel the weight of the moment without rushing to fill it. In that space, your inner voice, muffled by years of noise, begins to surface. It's not the voice of doubt or habit, but the one that knows who you are beneath the roles you've played. This is where intuition sharpens, where ideas flow unbidden, where decisions feel lighter because the field is clear. The creative void is a passage, not a destination. It's the narrow tunnel between who you were and who you're becoming. Thoth's initiates knew it as the womb of the universe, a place of pure potential where the soul could breathe. If you feel it now, a pause, a slowing, a sense of not knowing, don't resist. Stay present. The void is not here to break you, it's here to free you. And in its silence, the next code begins to pulse, a sound that creates worlds. The creative void has settled over you, a stillness that hums with possibility yet unsettles the mind with its vastness. This third code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex is not a place of comfort but of transformation, a sacred pause where the old dissolves to make way for the new. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where the air was heavy with the scent of sacred oils and the walls glowed with starlit hieroglyphs, initiates faced this silence as a rite of passage. They entered chambers carved deep into the earth, where the absence of sound became a presence, a living force that stripped away illusion. Thoth, the divine scribe, taught that this void was not to be feared but honored, for it is the womb of creation, the space where the soul expands into its truth. In the cosmology of ancient Egypt, this silence mirrored none, the primordial waters of chaos from which all life emerged. The priests of Hermopolis, devoted to Thoth, saw the void as a divine canvas, empty yet brimming with potential. Their rituals, hours or even days of meditative stillness, were designed to attune initiates to this frequency, to teach them to listen not with ears but with the ka, the spiritual essence that pulses within. You may feel this now, a moment when the world seems to pause, when plans stall, or when solitude calls louder than the noise of daily life. It's not a mistake, it's the universe clearing space, urging you to stop running and start being. Picture an initiate in the 20th dynasty, a young woman named Anuket, standing at the threshold of a temple in Memphis. Her life had been one of duty, tending to her family, weaving linen for the priests, but lately, a quiet unease had grown. Her dreams were restless, her heart heavy with a longing she couldn't name. Guided by an elder priestess, she entered a subterranean chamber, its walls etched with symbols of the ibis and the moon. "Stay with the silence," the priestess whispered. "Let it show you what you've forgotten." Anuket sat, trembling as the darkness pressed in, her breath the only sound. In that stillness, she faced her fears, her doubts, and slowly, a deeper truth began to surface, a voice that wasn't her thoughts, but her soul. This is the challenge of the creative void. It asks for surrender. The mind, conditioned to control, rebels against this emptiness, filling it with worries, plans, or distractions. In ancient Egypt, initiates were trained to resist this urge, to sit with the discomfort until it transformed. The Book of the Dead speaks of this as a passage through the duat, the underworld of the soul, where one faces the shadows to emerge renewed. You might feel it as a heaviness, a sense of being unmoored, as if life is pulling you into the unknown. Thoth taught that this is not loss but liberation, the shedding of what no longer aligns with your rising frequency. The emotional weight of this silence is profound. In Anuket's time, the void was a mirror, reflecting what the initiate had buried, fears of failure, desires stifled by duty, truths ignored for the sake of comfort. This isn't punishment, it's a cleansing, a preparation for what's to come. You may notice it in your own life. A project that stalls, a relationship that feels distant, a sudden need to withdraw. These are signs of the void at work, clearing the field. Across cultures, this concept resonates. Buddhist teachings speak of sunyata, the emptiness that holds all possibility. Greek philosophers describe the chaos before creation. Thoth's wisdom unites these threads. The void is the prerequisite for rebirth. To embrace this code, you must be brave. The temples taught initiates to breathe into the silence, to let it speak. Try it now. Pause, inhale deeply, and feel the weight of the moment without rushing to fill it. In that space, your inner voice begins to emerge, not the chatter of doubt, but the quiet knowing of your soul. Anuket learned this in her chamber, feeling her fears dissolve into clarity, her longing transform into purpose. You too stand at this threshold. The silence is not your enemy, it's your teacher, revealing what's been muffled by years of noise. This code demands presence, not action. In ancient rites, initiates sat before a single flame, watching its flicker in silence, letting it mirror their inner light. The void is where intuition blooms, where forgotten wisdom resurfaces, where the soul breathes freely. Thoth called it the womb of the universe, a place where all potential rests before taking form. If you feel it now, a slowing, a pause, a sense of not knowing, don't flee. The creative void is carving out space for the next code, a vibration that will shape worlds from the silence you now embrace. The creative void has quieted your world, its silence clearing space for what's to come, but now a new pulse emerges, a vibration that transforms stillness into creation. This is the fourth code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, the sound that creates, where your voice becomes a tool of alchemy, shaping reality with every syllable. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where the air shimmered with the hum of sacred chants, initiates learned that sound was not mere noise but a divine force. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, taught that when spoken with intention, sound could reorganize the unseen layers of existence, just as the god Thoth spoke the world into being. This is the power you're stepping into now, a power to create, not repeat, through the vibration of your words. In the sacred precincts of Memphis, priests of Ptah and Thoth practiced Heka, the magic of intention through sound. Their chants, resonating in caverns beneath the Great Sphinx, weren't just rituals, they were acts of creation, aligning the physical world with the divine. The pyramid texts, inscribed in the 24th century BCE, describe how words spoken with truth could open portals, heal rifts, or summon the gods' favor. Thoth's teachings, echoed in the Corpus Hermeticum, reveal that every sound you emit carries a frequency, touching your energy field before it shapes the world around you. You may feel it now, a moment when a word you speak, whether a prayer, a confession, or a simple affirmation, seems to carry a weight, as if the universe is listening. Imagine a priest in the 19th dynasty, named Senenmut, standing before the altar of Thoth in Hermopolis. His life had been one of service, copying sacred texts, but lately, the divine restlessness had stirred, followed by the silence of the void. Guided by his mentor, he learned to chant with intention, each syllable vibrating through his body, aligning his ka with the cosmos. "Speak as if you create," his mentor said. Senenmut's first chant, a low aum, shifted something within him, dissolving doubts and igniting clarity. His story mirrors yours. The words you speak, when aligned with truth, can break cycles or build new realities. This code reveals a truth the ancients guarded. Your speech is a mirror of your vibration. Speak from anger, and you feed chaos. Speak from love, and you dissolve barriers. In Egyptian temples, initiates spent years in silence before chanting, learning to purify their inner state first. Today, we speak impulsively, filling space with words that lack presence, but the universe still responds. Thoth taught that every utterance is a seed planted in the field of reality. Say, "I am lost," and your field adjusts, drawing in confusion. But declare, "I am whole," with conscious intention, and the vibration shifts, attracting alignment. This is sound alchemy, rooted in the Hermetic principle that the microcosm, your voice, shapes the macrocosm. The emotional power of this code lies in its immediacy. Recall a moment when a kind word from another lifted your spirit, not because of the phrase but the sincerity behind it. Or consider how your own self-talk, harsh or hopeful, colors your day. In ancient Egypt, priests used specific sounds for specific purposes, one to open the heart, another to ground the spirit, each chosen with care. The Book of Coming Forth by Day describes spells where the tone, not just the words, carried power, aligning the speaker with divine order. You, too, can harness this. Choose your words deliberately, let them rise from presence, and watch how reality responds. This isn't about volume or perfection, it's about authenticity. Thoth's initiates learned that a whispered truth holds more power than a shouted lie. In rituals, they chanted to activate the Sahu, the spiritual body, aligning it with the cosmos. You might notice this shift in your own speech. A slower cadence, a pause before responding, as if your words are now anchored in something deeper. This is the sound that creates at work, turning your voice into a tool of manifestation. The ancients knew that thought, too, is sound, subtle, but potent, shaping your field before it reaches your lips. To activate this code, observe your speech. What do you repeat about yourself? What stories do you tell? In the temples, priests were taught to plant words like seeds, each one a decree. Try it. Speak an affirmation with your whole being, feel it vibrate in your chest, and notice how the air around you shifts. Senenmut learned this, his chants becoming a bridge between his soul and the divine. You stand at the same threshold. The sound that creates is your power to shape reality, but it leads to a deeper question. Are your words truly yours, or are they echoes of an older self? The next code will reveal the answer. The sound that creates has awakened your awareness, each word you speak now pulsing with the power to shape reality, but a deeper question emerges. Do your words reflect the truth you live? This is the fifth code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, the embodied word, where speech aligns with action to become a living vibration. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where the flicker of oil lamps cast shadows on walls inscribed with sacred truths, initiates faced a test, not of knowledge, but of integrity. Thoth, the divine scribe whose teachings in the Corpus Hermeticum bridge the mortal and divine, taught that words alone are hollow unless they are lived. To speak a truth is one thing, to become it is another. This code calls you to bridge that gap, to make your words not just sound, but identity. In the mystery schools of Thebes, initiates underwent trials to ensure their words matched their deeds. They stood before priests, reciting sacred texts, but the true measure was their vibration. Their ka, the spiritual essence, had to resonate with what they proclaimed. A vow of trust spoken while clinging to control was empty. A declaration of love tainted by resentment fell flat. Thoth called this the living verb, a state where the body vibrates in harmony with the words, creating a field of coherence that reshapes reality. You may feel this now, a moment when saying, "I am enough," feels like a lie because your actions don't yet align, or when a promise carries a weight you can't uphold. This dissonance is the code's invitation to align. Imagine a scribe in the 26th dynasty, named Tahotep, training in the temple of Thoth at Hermopolis. He was skilled in reciting spells, his voice flawless, but his heart carried doubt, his actions driven by fear of failure. His mentor, a high priestess, saw the discord in his aura and tasked him with a silent vow: live one truth fully before speaking another. For weeks, Tahotep served the poor, listened without judgment, and faced his fears in solitude. When he spoke again, his words carried a new weight, vibrating with the truth of his experience. His story echoes yours. The embodied word demands that what you say becomes what you are. This code is a spiritual technology, rooted in the Egyptian belief that the body is a temple of divine frequencies. The heart, they said, was the seat of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and balance, and it could not be deceived. Speak, "I forgive," while holding resentment, and the field falters. Declare, "I am light," without facing your shadows, and the words lack power. In the Book of the Dead, spells were only effective when the speaker's heart was weighed as true against Ma'at's feather. This wasn't metaphor but energetic reality. Alignment between speech, intention, and action creates a vibrational ripple that the universe answers with synchronicity and clarity. The emotional pull of this code lies in its challenge. Recall a time when you promised change, to yourself or another, but fell back into old patterns. The words felt good, but the field didn't shift because they weren't embodied. Now consider a moment when your actions aligned with your words. A heartfelt apology followed by amends, a goal pursued with steady effort. The air felt lighter, didn't it? The ancients knew this power. Priests of Thoth would often remain silent for days, ensuring their words carried the weight of lived experience. When they spoke, their decrees, whether for healing, protection, or guidance, shifted the atmosphere, felt by all nearby. This is not about perfection but coherence. Thoth's teachings emphasize that the embodied word doesn't demand flawless action, but honest alignment. In ancient rituals, initiates practiced this through daily affirmations spoken before the statue of Thoth, each word a vow to live what they proclaimed. You can do the same. Choose a truth, perhaps, I am present, and embody it through small, deliberate acts. Notice how your field responds, how decisions flow easier, how synchronicities multiply. The universe doesn't reward empty promises, it mirrors what you vibrate. The challenge is real because it's personal. Ptahhotep faced it, as did countless initiates who stood at this threshold, their words tested by their lives. You might feel it now, a call to examine what you say versus what you do. Thoth's wisdom, preserved across millennia, reminds us that true power lies not in knowing more, but in living what you know. The embodied word is a decree, a vibration that opens paths when speech and soul align. As you step into this code, a new question arises. What are you truly seeing in the world you're creating? The next code will unveil the answer. Your words are aligning with your actions, vibrating with the power of the embodied word, but now a subtler awareness stirs, a shift in how you perceive the world. This is the sixth code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, subtle vision, where the eyes of the heart see beyond the surface, transforming reality into a tapestry of symbols. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where the air was thick with the scent of frankincense and the walls glowed with sacred glyphs, initiates were taught to look not just with their physical eyes, but with their spirit. Thoth, the divine scribe whose wisdom shaped the Hermetic traditions, revealed that the world is a living text, a collective dream woven from frequencies only the awakened can read. In the mystery schools of Saqqara, initiates learned that true vision wasn't about seeing more, but seeing deeper. The Egyptians revered symbols, like the Ankh, the Eye of Horus, or the Scarab, as keys to hidden truths, each a portal to the unseen. Thoth's teachings, preserved in texts like the Corpus Hermeticum, described this as seeing with the heart, a vibrational function that activates when the mind quiets and consciousness fills the body. You may feel it now, a moment when a stranger's glance carries unspoken meaning, a delay feels like a cosmic pause, or a simple object, a stone, a leaf, seems to pulse with significance. This is subtle vision, the ability to read the invisible behind the visible. Imagine an initiate in the 12th dynasty, a young man named Imhotep, training in the temple of Thoth at Hermopolis. His days were spent studying scrolls, but his nights were restless, haunted by dreams of stars and rivers. His mentor, a priestess of Ma'at, taught him to see beyond forms, to notice the intention behind a gesture, the rhythm in a conversation's pause. One evening, gazing at the Nile under moonlight, Imhotep saw it not as water, but as a flowing symbol of his own soul's journey. This wasn't imagination. It was a shift in frequency, a moment when the world became a mirror of his inner truth. His story echoes yours. The ordinary is becoming extraordinary, revealing messages you're only now ready to see. This code transforms how you engage with reality. The Egyptians believed the world was a manifestation of divine order, Ma'at, and that every event, object, or encounter carried a vibrational signature. Priests trained to read these signs, using tools like hieroglyphs or the patterns of stars, not to predict but to understand the soul's dialogue with the cosmos. Thoth taught that what you see depends on your frequency. A fearful mind sees threats, but an awakened heart sees symbols. You might notice it in small ways: a phrase that repeats, a coincidence that feels too perfect, or a dream that lingers with uncanny clarity. These are not random, they're the universe speaking in code. The emotional weight of subtle vision lies in its intimacy. Recall a moment when you felt a connection beyond words, a look from a loved one that said everything, or a sudden understanding of a problem's deeper meaning. In ancient Egypt, oracles used this vision during rituals, entering trances to read the energies behind events. The Hermetic principle that all is mind suggests reality is malleable, shaped by the lens of your consciousness. When you see with subtle vision, life stops being literal. A delay isn't just inconvenience, it's realignment. An encounter isn't chance, it's purpose. The world becomes a living text, and you, its reader. To activate this code, you must let go of the mind's need to control. In the temples, initiates practiced gazing at sacred symbols, an ankh, a flame, without judgment, letting the heart perceive what the eyes missed. Try it. Pause and look at something ordinary, a tree or a shadow, and feel its presence without naming it. Notice how it shifts, how it speaks. Thoth's initiates knew the physical eyes were limited, capturing form but not essence. The heart, however, reads frequencies, sensing truth where logic sees only chaos. This is why the ancients called reality a dream, not false, but fluid, shaped by the vibration you hold. This code is a turning point, for it reveals that everything is communicating with you. The Egyptians saw the world as a temple, every moment a ritual. As you step into subtle vision, you begin to see through the veil, to read the symbols woven into your days. But this raises a deeper question. What are you emitting into this dream? The next code will illuminate the answer, shining light on the temple of your body. The world has begun to reveal itself as a tapestry of symbols, each moment pulsing with meaning through the lens of subtle vision. Now, a deeper truth emerges. The source of this vision lies within you, in the sacred vessel you inhabit. This is the seventh code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, the light body, where your physical form is recognized as a living temple, a circuit of divine energy. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where the scent of burning myrrh mingled with the hum of sacred chants, initiates learned that the body was not mere flesh but a map of the cosmos. Thoth, the scribe of eternal wisdom, taught that each cell holds a spark of the divine, a fragment of the heavens vibrating with purpose. To awaken this code is to reclaim your body as a conduit between the visible and the invisible. In the mystery schools of Heliopolis, priests revered the body as the cause dwelling, the spiritual essence that links the mortal to the eternal. The Egyptians believed the body was a microcosm, its organs and energies mirroring the stars and gods. The heart, seat of Ma'at, vibrated with truth. The liver held the courage of Sekhmet. The womb or prostate carried the creative spark of Isis or Osiris. Thoth's teachings, echoed in the Corpus Hermeticum, described the body as an alchemical structure, where every gesture, breath, or moment of presence activates its latent codes. You may feel this now, a tingling in your fingers, a warmth in your chest, or a sudden awareness of your breath. This is your light body stirring, responding to the call of awakening. Imagine an initiate in the 21st dynasty, a healer named Nesimon, standing in the temple of Ammonius at Karnak. For years, he treated his body as a tool, ignoring its signals, aches, fatigue, a racing heart, until the divine restlessness forced him to pause. Guided by a priest of Thoth, he learned to inhabit his body fully, to feel each breath as a prayer, each step as a ritual. In a darkened chamber, he stretched slowly, honoring his form, and felt a shift, a lightness, as if his body was no longer just matter but a vessel of light. Nesimon's story mirrors yours. The body you've overlooked is ready to speak, to reveal its wisdom. This code challenges a modern failing. We treat our bodies like machines, ignoring their messages until they break. In ancient Egypt, priests listened to the body's signals, tension as a warning, ease as alignment, knowing they were messages from the Ka. Thoth taught that the light body activates only through presence. A clenched jaw might signal unspoken truth. A heavy heart might call for forgiveness. Ignoring these signs blocks the codes, but honoring them unlocks intuition, clarity, and flow. The Hermetic principle of correspondence, as above, so below, means your body is a pyramid, a sacred structure bridging earth and sky. The emotional weight of this code is profound. Recall a moment when you felt truly alive in your body, dancing, breathing deeply, or simply feeling the ground beneath your feet. That vitality is the light body's pulse, a reminder of its sacred nature. In Egyptian rituals, initiates moved deliberately, their gestures aligned with cosmic rhythms, activating the Sahu, the spiritual body. You might notice the shift, a walk that feels grounded, a breath that calms the mind, a stretch that releases more than muscle. These are not accidents, they're your body organizing your energy field, aligning you with the divine. To activate this code, inhabit your body fully. In the temples, priests practiced conscious movement, walking the sacred precincts with awareness, breathing in sync with the Nile's rhythm. Try it. Take a slow breath, feel it fill your chest, and notice what your body says. Thoth called the body the first pyramid, a structure where heaven and earth meet. When you listen, tensions become messages, intuition sharpens, and the field clears. Nesseman learned this, his healing touch growing stronger as he honored his body's wisdom. You, too, are at this threshold, your light body awakening to its role as a temple. This code raises a question. If your body is a sacred circuit, what sound does it emit? The next code will reveal the answer, unveiling a vibration that's been with you since before you were born. Your light body is awakening, its sacred frequencies aligning you with the cosmos, but now a subtler vibration stirs, a sound that's been with you since before time, waiting to be heard. This is the 8th code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, the inner sound, a vibrational echo that pulses at the core of your being. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where the flicker of torchlight danced on walls carved with ibis and crescent moon, initiates were guided to listen not to the world's noise, but to a deeper resonance within. Thoth, the divine scribe whose wisdom wove the threads of creation, called this the origin note, a unique frequency, your soul's signature, humming since the moment you came into existence. In the mystery schools of Hermopolis, priests taught that this sound wasn't heard with ears but felt with the entire being. It was the voice of the Ka, the spiritual essence, vibrating in the silent spaces of the body, the chest, the spine, the root of your core. The Egyptians believed every soul carried a divine utterance, a note that echoed the primal sound of creation, the Aum, that birthed the cosmos in their myths. Thoth's teachings, reflected in fragments of the Corpus Hermeticum, describe this as a subtle hum, a pulse that reveals itself only when the mind quiets and the body becomes a tuned instrument. You may feel it now, a shiver in a moment of stillness, a warmth during a deep breath, or a resonance that seems to rise unbidden in your chest. Imagine an initiate in the 25th dynasty, a young woman named Tai, training in the temple of Thoth at Kemenu. Her days were filled with study, but her nights were restless, haunted by a longing she couldn't name. Her mentor, a high priest, led her to a starlit courtyard and taught her to breathe with presence, to listen beyond thought. In the silence, Tai felt it, a faint vibration, like a distant bell, rising from her heart. It wasn't imagination, it was her origin note, the sound of her essence, guiding her back to herself. Tai's story mirrors yours. The inner sound is a reminder of who you are beneath the layers of noise and distraction. This code is elusive because it requires vibrational listening. In ancient Egypt, priests cultivated this through rituals of stillness, chanting sacred vowels to attune their bodies to the divine. The Book of the Dead speaks of the voice of the soul that guides the deceased through the duat, a sound that only the pure of heart could hear. You might sense it in fleeting moments, a chill during meditation, a pulse when you're alone with your breath, or a resonance when chanting a mantra. It's not loud, but it's unmistakable, a hum that feels like home, a vibration that aligns you with your deepest truth. The emotional power of this code lies in its intimacy. Recall a moment when you felt inexplicably grounded, as if everything suddenly made sense without words. Perhaps it was in nature, during a quiet dawn, or in the presence of someone whose energy matched yours. This is the inner sound at work, organizing your field, dissolving chaos. Thoth taught that this note is unique to you, yet universal, a fragment of the cosmic harmony. In rituals, priests chanted to amplify it, believing it could align not just the self but the world around them. When you hear it, even for a moment, decisions flow with clarity, synchronicities multiply, and you feel at home in your own skin. To activate this code, you must cultivate presence. The ancients practiced this through deliberate acts, breathing slowly, moving with awareness, or chanting with intention. Try it. Sit in silence, breathe deeply, and notice any subtle vibration in your body. Don't force it, let it emerge. In Egyptian temples, initiates use sounds like A or O to awaken their centers, each vibration a key to the Sahu, the spiritual body. Tai learned this, her chants becoming a bridge to her soul's wisdom. You too stand at this threshold, your inner sound a guide to authenticity. This code is a turning point, for it reveals what was never lost, only forgotten. It's the sound of your essence, pulsing beneath the noise of life. As you listen, it begins to shape your reality, drawing in what resonates and repelling what doesn't. But this raises a new question. What must you release to fully embody this vibration? The next code will unveil the answer, guiding you through the art of letting go. The inner sound has stirred within you, its subtle hum aligning your essence with the cosmos, but now a new force moves, a release that feels both unsettling and inevitable. This is the 9th code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, Vibrational Detachment, where everything that no longer resonates with your rising frequency begins to fall away. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where the air was thick with the scent of sacred resins and the walls pulsed with the wisdom of Thoth, initiates faced this moment as a sacred purification. The divine scribe taught that detachment is not loss, but a realignment, a clearing of the field to make space for what's true. To step into this code is to let go, not by force, but by vibration, allowing the universe to strip away what no longer belongs. In the mystery schools of Memphis, priests understood detachment as a vibrational shift, not a rejection of the world. The Egyptians believed the soul, or Ka, was always evolving, and anything, relationships, beliefs, or roles, held by fear or habit would weigh it down. Thoth's teachings, preserved in the Hermetic texts, describe this as a cosmic pruning, where the field purifies itself to reflect the soul's new frequency. You may feel it now, a relationship that feels heavy, a goal that no longer excites, or a sudden fatigue that signals something deeper. This is not failure. It's the universe reorganizing, whispering, what you cling to is no longer yours. Imagine an initiate in the 22nd dynasty, a scribe named Baketmut, training in the temple of Thoth at Hermopolis. His life was built on duty, serving the priesthood, upholding family honor, but the inner sound had awakened, and his world began to shift. Promises he'd made felt like chains. His ambitions, once clear, now seemed small. Guided by a high priest, he entered a ritual of release, standing before a sacred pool to offer his burdens to the waters of Nun, the primordial void. "Let go," the priest said, "not by will but by truth." Baketmut's story echoes yours. What you thought was stability may be illusion, and vibrational detachment is here to set you free. This code is relentless because it operates without permission. The Egyptians saw it as the work of Anubis, the god who guides souls through transformation, ensuring only what aligns with Ma'at, truth and balance, remains. You might feel it as a sudden loss, a job ending, a friendship fading, or as a subtle shift, like a habit that no longer fits. The body reacts, too, unexplained aches, restless sleep, or a grief without reason. These are signs of the old dissolving, making way for the new. Thoth taught that you can't fill a full cup. The void is necessary for creation. This echoes across traditions, from the Buddhist concept of non-attachment to the Stoic release of what cannot be controlled. The emotional weight of this code is raw. Recall a time when you lost something dear, a relationship, a dream, and felt both pain and a strange relief. That's vibrational detachment at work, clearing what no longer vibrates with your soul. In ancient rituals, initiates offered symbolic objects, a piece of cloth, a written vow, to the fire or water, releasing their hold on old identities. You might feel this now, a commitment that feels heavy, a role you've outgrown, or a belief that no longer rings true. The discomfort isn't punishment, it's clarity, showing you what's ready to fall away. To activate this code, you must trust the process. In the temples, priests taught initiates to breathe into the discomfort, to honor the void without rushing to fill it. Try it, sit with what feels heavy, name. The weight of vibrational detachment has lifted, leaving your field clearer, lighter, but now a deeper shift stirs, a quiet unraveling of the self you thought you were. This is the 10th code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, Lucid Death, a symbolic passage where the old identity dissolves to make way for the new. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where the air was heavy with the scent of sacred oils and the walls glowed with stories of rebirth, initiates faced this moment as a sacred initiation. Thoth, the divine scribe whose wisdom guided souls through transformation, taught that death is not an end but a release, a shedding of what no longer serves. This code is not about physical death, but a profound letting go, a surrender that feels both sacred and unsettling. In the mystery schools of Abydos, where the myth of Osiris, god of death and resurrection, was reenacted, initiates learned that lucid death was a cornerstone of awakening. The Egyptians saw life as a cycle of transformations, each death a portal to renewal. Thoth's teachings, reflected in the Corpus Hermeticum, describe this as a vibrational shift, where the soul outgrows its old form like a snake shedding its skin. You may feel it now, a fatigue that's not just physical, a sense that plans, ambitions, or roles no longer fit, or a silence that feels like an ending. This is not failure, it's the universe whispering, you are ready to become more. Imagine an initiate in the 19th dynasty, a young priest named Khonsu, standing in the temple of Osiris at Abydos. His life had been one of structure, rituals, duties, a clear path, but the inner sound had awakened, and now his world felt too small. Guided by a high priest, he entered a ritual chamber, its walls painted with scenes of the underworld. There, he was asked to die, to his old self, to release the roles and fears that bound him. In the silence, Khonsu felt a strange peace, as if a part of him was dissolving, not with pain but with purpose. His story mirrors yours. The lucid death is a threshold, a moment when the ego's grip loosens and the soul steps forward. This code is profound because it demands total surrender. The Egyptians revered Osiris as the archetype of this process, his death and rebirth a mirror for the soul's journey. You might feel it as a quiet exhaustion, a moment when the story you've told yourself about who you are, what you need, loses its spark. Thoth taught that this is not a crisis but a sacred crossing, a passage through the duat, the underworld of the soul, where what's outdated falls away. It's not dramatic. It might come as a thought on an ordinary morning, a realization that what once defined you no longer does. The body feels it, tension, a heaviness, or a lightness as the old dissolves. The emotional weight of lucid death is raw yet liberating. Recall a time when something ended, a job, a relationship, a belief, and though it hurt, you felt a strange freedom. In ancient Egypt, initiates enacted symbolic deaths, lying in stone sarcophagi to confront their fears, emerging renewed. The Book of the Dead describes this as the soul's weighing against Ma'at's feather, shedding falsehoods to reach truth. You might notice it now. A role you've played feels hollow, a goal feels too small, or a silence feels eternal. This is the code at work, deprogramming what was built on fear or habit. To activate this code, you must let go without resistance. In the temples, priests taught initiates to breathe into the void, to feel the dissolution without clinging to the old. Try it, sit with the feeling of ending, name what no longer fits, and let it pass. Khonsu learned this, emerging from his ritual with a lighter heart, his path clearer. You, too, stand at this threshold, where the ego's need to prove or control fades, and a new self begins to form. This echoes across traditions, Buddhist teachings on impermanence, or the Christian motif of dying to be reborn, united by Thoth's wisdom. Only what has fulfilled its purpose dies. This code is a portal, not a punishment. As the old dissolves, you feel lighter, less tethered to masks or expectations. You walk differently, speak more slowly, as the body senses what the mind hasn't yet grasped. A new self is emerging. But this raises a final question. What happens when you fully inhabit the moment of transformation? The next code will reveal the answer, guiding you to the healing power of presence. The lucid death has released you, shedding the old self like a worn cloak, leaving your soul lighter, poised at a new threshold. Now, a quiet power emerges, one that doesn't demand action but presence. A state of being so complete it transforms everything. This is the 11th code of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, the presence that heals, where the simple act of being fully here, now, becomes a force of restoration. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where the air shimmered with the scent of lotus and the walls echoed with silent prayers, initiates learned that true healing flows not from techniques but from inhabiting the moment. Thoth, the divine scribe whose wisdom wove the fabric of reality, taught that presence is the master key, unlocking all other codes by aligning the soul with the eternal now. In the mystery schools of Edfu, priests dedicated to Thoth practiced presence as a sacred art. They stood before statues of deities, not asking for miracles but offering their full attention, their ka, the spiritual essence, vibrating in harmony with the divine. The Egyptians believed the body was the altar, and miracles manifested only when the priest was present. Thoth's teachings, echoed in the Corpus Hermeticum, describe the now as a frequency, a vibration of wholeness where the field reorganizes itself. You may feel it now, a moment when time seems to pause, when a breath feels like a prayer, or when the world aligns in quiet clarity. This is your soul anchoring in the present, where healing begins. Imagine an initiate in the 26th dynasty, a healer named Mary, standing in the temple of Isis at Philae. Her life had been one of service, tending to the sick, but the weight of others' pain had dimmed her spirit. Guided by a priestess of Thoth, she learned to sit in silence, gazing at a flame, letting each breath dissolve her burdens. In that stillness, Mary felt her body lighten, her heart open, as if the now was mending her from within. Her story mirrors yours. The presence that heals is not about doing but being, a state where the field clears and the soul breathes freely. This code is subtle yet powerful. The Egyptians saw the body as the anchor of the now, while the mind wandered between past regrets and future fears. Thoth taught that the body, when fully inhabited, becomes a channel for Ma'at, truth and balance, reorganizing cells, emotions, and thoughts. You might notice it in small ways. A moment of stillness that calms a racing heart, a conversation where you truly listen, or a breath that releases tension. In ancient rituals, priests practiced three-breath meditations, focusing on a flame or the Nile's flow, letting presence dissolve what the mind couldn't. The Book of the Dead speaks of this as the soul's alignment with the eternal, where presence makes the heart light enough to pass Ma'at's judgment. The emotional depth of this code lies in its courage. Presence forces you to face what's alive in you, pain, doubt, or joy, without running. Recall a moment when you were fully present, holding a loved one's hand, feeling the texture of a leaf, or listening to silence without distraction. That moment felt whole, didn't it? In Egypt, oracles used presence to read the god's will, their bodies attuned to the now's intelligence. Thoth's wisdom, influencing traditions from Hermeticism to Zen, teaches that the now is not a moment in time but a vibration, a state where healing happens naturally because the field is clear. To activate this code, you need no complex ritual. In the temples, initiates sat in silence, breathing with intention, letting the moment unfold. Try it. Take 3 slow breaths, feel your body, and let thoughts pass without clinging. Notice what shifts, a warmth, a lightness, or a clarity. Mary learned this, her healing touch growing stronger as she embraced presence. You, too, stand at this threshold, where presence becomes a healing force, dissolving layers no technique could touch. But this raises a final question. What happens when you stop seeking and simply are? The next code will reveal the answer, guiding you to the silent light of your true self. The presence that heals has anchored you in the now, your soul vibrating in harmony with the eternal moment, but now something deeper unfolds, a state so subtle it feels like a whisper of light. This is the culmination of Thoth's Hermetic Codex, the silent light, where the search dissolves, and you become the answer you've sought. In the ancient temples of Egypt, where starlight pierced the stone roofs and the air hummed with divine resonance, initiates reached this state not through effort but surrender. Thoth, the scribe of cosmic wisdom, taught that the highest initiation is not a revelation but a remembering, a recognition that you are the frequency you've been seeking, the light that casts no shadow. In the sacred precincts of Hermopolis, priests of Thoth pursued this state as the pinnacle of their journey. They called it the pure frequency, a vibration beyond words or forms, where the seeker merges with the sought. The Egyptians believed this was the Ak, the luminous spirit, fully awakened, aligned with Ma'at, truth and balance. Thoth's teachings, preserved in the Corpus Hermeticum, describe it as the moment when the mind's need to understand fades, and the soul simply is. You may feel it now, a gentle warmth spreading through your chest, a calm that needs no explanation, or a vibration in your hands as if you're touching the infinite. This is the silent light, emerging when you stop chasing and start being. Imagine an initiate in the 30th dynasty, a woman named Asetnefer, standing in the temple of Thoth under a moonlit sky. She had passed through the codes, restlessness, sound, void, death, each stripping away layers of illusion. Guided by a high priest, she sat in silence, not seeking but receiving. In that moment, she felt it, a light that wasn't seen but known, a presence that filled her without effort. Asetnefer's story mirrors yours. The silent light is not something you find, it's something you become when the noise of seeking falls away. This code is the heart of Thoth's wisdom, for it requires no technique, no striving. In ancient Egypt, priests reached this state through years of discipline, but its essence was simple, be. They gazed at the stars, not to predict but to remember their own celestial nature. The Hermetic principle of as above, so below, reveals that you are not separate from the cosmos. You are its expression, a spark of the divine light. You might feel it in fleeting moments, a stillness during a walk, a clarity in solitude, or an unexplainable peace. These are not accidents, they're your soul recognizing itself, free from the masks of identity. The emotional power of this code lies in its wholeness. Recall a moment when you felt complete, not because of what you had but who you were, perhaps watching a sunrise, holding a loved one, or sitting in silence. That's the silent light, a frequency that needs no name. In Egyptian rituals, initiates stood before the statue of Thoth, offering only their presence, and the air would shift, as if the god himself acknowledged their alignment. Across traditions, Buddhist nirvana, Taoist wu-wei, or Christian grace, this state resonates as the dissolution of separation, where you are the truth you seek. To embody this code, you need only stay. In the temples, priests practiced silent contemplation, letting the moment unfold without interpretation. Try it, sit, breathe, and let the world be. Feel the vibration of your being, not as a thought but a presence. Asetnefer learned this, her life becoming a living hymn to Thoth's wisdom. You too stand at this threshold, where questions shrink and the answer is you. The silent light doesn't shout, it glows, reminding you that you've always been whole. This is the end of the journey, yet also the beginning. The codes have woven a path from restlessness to light, each a step toward remembering who you are. Thoth's legacy, carried through millennia, invites you to live this truth, to vibrate consciously in every act, word, and breath. Write in the comments, *I am the code. I'm ready to remember. This isn't just a phrase, it's a vibrational activation, a call to share this frequency with the world. If this journey has stirred you, support the mission. Details are in the pinned comment or the thanks button below. A new key awaits. Click the link on the screen to continue. You are the silent light, and the universe is listening.